For over a century, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche has sparked some pretty extreme reactions. People either celebrate him as this revolutionary genius or they dismiss him as a blueprint for absolute chaos. So what's the deal? Why is he so polarizing? Well, it really comes down to this core tension in his whole philosophy. This fierce, unapologetic embrace of human potential set against the very societal structures that his ideas just relentlessly challenge.
It's a fair question, right? Most of us have probably heard his name, maybe a famous quote or two. But the popular image we have of him? It's often a total distortion. So today, we're going to peel back the layers on some of his most provocative ideas and really try to find out why they still echo so powerfully in our world.
And honestly, there is no better place to start than with his most famous and definitely most misunderstood declaration. We're going to tackle the God is dead myth right now head-on.
Okay, so when Nietzsche wrote God is dead, he wasn't celebrating at all. It wasn't some triumphant battle cry for chaos. It was a diagnosis. He was looking around and observing that the very foundations of Western morality, which for centuries were built on religion, were starting to crumble. He was sounding an alarm bell, warning everyone about a coming crisis of meaning, a giant shadow he called nihilism.
So this is the really crucial point. Nietzsche saw this giant void opening up in society, and he basically asked, okay, what's next? How do we, as humans, create meaning for ourselves after the death of God? His entire philosophy, from that point on, is really an attempt to answer that huge question, not to just revel in the collapse.
And this whole idea of creating new meaning for yourself, well, it naturally leads to another central conflict in his work, this epic struggle between the exceptional individual and the immense, crushing pressure of the collective, what he's sometimes called the herd.
Now, when you hear the word Übermensch, or Overman, let's be clear this is not a superhero in a cape. It's a goal. It's a symbol for a human being who overcomes conformity, who creates their own values, and who affirms life in all its beauty and, its difficulty. It's the ultimate expression of self-creation.
And here's that tug-of-war in action, plain and simple. On one side, you've got his famous call to become who you are, this powerful demand for radical, fierce self-creation. And on the other side, you have what he called herd morality. That's the tendency of society to prioritize safety, comfort, and just fitting in, a force that often pushes back against and even resents anything truly exceptional.
And this really gets to the heart of why his work is so provocative. I mean, when you start questioning the very foundations of good and evil the way Nietzsche did, it can feel like a personal attack to people who find comfort and security in those traditional structures. It triggers a defensive reaction, and that sparks a lot of resentment and misunderstanding.
But here's the thing. These aren't just some dusty 19th century academic ideas. Not at all. His philosophy has this powerful, often totally unseen echo in our world today. It's actively shaping our culture in ways we might not even realize.
So where do these seemingly abstract ideas actually pop up in the 21st century? In your life, in my life? Well, the answers might just surprise you. Just think about it. That relentless drive and self-improvement culture to constantly overcome your limits, that's a shadow of his will to power. Or what about the tech entrepreneur who wants to disrupt everything? That's a modern echo of challenging old values. And on a bigger scale, our ongoing debates about individualism versus the community, or that deep search for purpose in a world that's more and more secular, all of this is happening in the landscape that Nietzsche first mapped out for us.
So after all that, where does this leave us? Well, with Nietzsche, you're never going to get easy answers. It just doesn't work that way. Instead, we're left with these profound, unfinished questions that we really can't ignore because they speak directly to what it means to be alive right now.
At the end of the day, the value of reading Nietzsche isn't really about agreeing with him. It's about the confrontation he forces on you. He makes you look at the values you hold so dear, the structures you live inside, and he makes you ask, why? Are these my values, or did I just sort of inherit them? It is a direct challenge to our comfort zones.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. Maybe the whole point of engaging with a mind like Nietzsche's isn't to find some new belief system to adopt. Maybe, just maybe, it's about learning to ask the hard questions for ourselves, about meaning, about value, and about what it truly means to live a flourishing life. And those, my friends, are questions that never, ever get old.